Is selling a bad word in dentistry? Do dentists need to sell to be successful? This is Paul, Dr. Nacho Goodman, founder of Dental Nachos. And that answer to me is yes. And I reframe selling as, if it doesn't help, it doesn't matter. And be proud to sell help. Be proud to sell what we do in our practices to help patients chew and smile with confidence. And I have today amazing friends, key resources and sponsors of Dental Nachos, Dr. Nate and Dr. BT, founders of the Fast Growth Practice, and they're going to talk to us about simplifying selling in dentistry with the one question. Welcome to Talking Nachos. You guys can undo your video here so we can all see you guys back there. Nate and BT, I don't think I did perfect. So I'm so thrilled to have you guys here. I'm going to turn this presentation over to you guys in just a minute, but I want to share that I am just so appreciative of all the amazing content you share in the group. BT, you've risen to the top of the sharing charts. What inspires you? You know, you and I, and Nate too, our grandmother's right, we're very special. We put ourselves out there on social media. That can get people to toss arrows at you at times, but I think it's worth it for all the great conversations that are created, for the DMs you get that say, hey, I love what you shared out there. What inspires you, BT, to share so much on social media and really give so much?
I'm not a millennial, although sometimes I act like I am. I love social media. I feel like that's a way to really engage with other colleagues, friends, new friends that I never would living where we are. You know what I mean? Like, what did we used to do before that? We'd go to conferences, we'd meet someone, maybe exchange business cards if that was the thing, and then you go away and get busy. But I feel with social media, you can literally still have friends in a community on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Instagram. So I love it. It's very instantaneous. It's like having friends in your pocket wherever you go, right? So that's for me.
Yeah, I love that. How about you, Nate? What's your why for sharing so much?
You know, it's a real expansion, I think, of former capability. As BT said, it used to be we'd trade business cards, and then now we can connect with people. I mean, literally, you're in Philadelphia, we're in Vancouver, we're a 5.5-hour flight away on a good day, and we're able to sit here in real time and have this conversation. And I think that's possible because of social media, and and the way that the platforms have kind of come into being. So it's just a great thing. It's a way to escape the old-fashioned way, the way that dentistry was done for so long, right? It's like you got to go to a big conference. It's kind of stuffy, and it was more an exhibition show than anything else. And then now we can kind of get, create these personal relationships and get to know people in a way outside of the exhibition hall. And so I think
I love that. I always say, share, you get to have more FIPS. I call that friends in your phone, right? You guys are friends in my phone. And I created this to really, I would say ABC to FLA, always be connecting to feel less alone. And this weekend I was at the Great New York Dental Meeting, and I was so inspired and grateful to have dentists of all ages and stages go say, Paul, you got me through dental school. I scrolled through Dental Nachos and it had the real stuff I wanted to hear. And then I'd have 55-plus-year-old dentists saying, I wish I had that when I started out. I would have learned more, because there's so much watch out information being shared, just from the dangers of dual rep brokers I was talking about today, to what to ask for contracts, to how to deal with your team members. And I think, you guys are young parents. You have young children. I have young children. Being a dental practice owner is like having a 4-year-old that never grows up. That 4-year-old is your practice, and you got to take care of it for 30 years. And listen, you have 4-year-olds, people say, look how cute they are, look how awesome they are, and they are. But on the other hand, there's a lot of aggravation, that's another A, in having those small humans in your house. So I think practice owners and dentists need places like this. And I'm so excited for what you're going to share. And I'm going to turn it over to you for a minute. But you heard me say in the beginning, dentists don't like the word selling too much for some reason. And you guys have put that right up front, which I love. So just tell us what we're going to learn today, BT and Nate.
You're going to learn how to sell. No, I'm kidding. You're going to learn how to sell in a way where you don't feel salesy. I think what it is all dentists do want to sell. I know they do. In their heart, their big hearts, I know they want to sell, but they don't want to do it in a bad way, because they've either had a bad experience, they've never been taught, or they got burned a couple of times. So the next person who actually wants to buy something, they shy away and they back away. So I think that's all the negative reasons why dentists and dental teams don't want to sell. So today we're going to go through, we'll go through our one question that we have, our teams, our doctors, our clients, everybody. We do it in all of our consultations. And it's the one question we use to help categorize patients, right? We know not all patients are the same, and they don't want to be treated the same. And that is the reason why selling can come off as bad, is because we're applying the same principles everywhere we go. But if we know this one question, and that's the question that we'll be going through today, then the selling becomes really easy. It's not selling, you're just serving your patients. You're giving them what they want in their timeline with their budget. It really is that easy. And I think once we all know what the question is, everybody's gonna be like, it's so easy.
Yeah,
it should be easy.
I love that light bulb moment. I want to share, we get pulled away from things a lot. I have intentions of listening to this 40-minute podcast, but 4 minutes in, I have some issues. So I like to know this up front. They always wait till the end of the podcast to tell you how to reach out to people. We're going to do both. If people listen to this just this much, how could they reach out to you guys? What's the best website, Nate, for them to go to learn more about what you do?
Our website, thefastgrowthpractice.com, has all kind of information about who we are and what we do, where we're speaking, and kind of what we believe in, the principles that we espouse, and all the ways that we connect with dentists. I mean, that's one way to do it, is to look us up there. Otherwise, people can find us on Facebook. We're there. We're in Nachos, right? So you can hit us up in the DMs. It's fine. You can find us on Instagram. We're both active there as well. So there's lots of ways, and we like all of them. If somebody wants my phone number, we can do that. But those three are really easy ways to do it. And I think the handles, we probably have in one of our slides here that we'll share. So it'll be there. You don't have to memorize anything.
I know you guys will be giving away stuff, and I'm going to sit back here and enjoy one of my favorite things. Aha. And I hope they sponsor me one day, guys, because I was saying,
wow.
oh my God.
You guys are
We look alike. This is too, hold that up again. My team has to get a pic.
One of us has got to shave our
drinking. Yeah. One of us has to shave you. That's too good. Not to team get a pic. I want Aha to sponsor us, because I'm going to say this is your aha moment brought to you by Aha. So I'm getting an aha moment. Turn it over to you guys. Before you guys, turn my video off. Do you want to see if you can share your screen? Okay, because I just want to make sure. I've done a number of these webinars, and I know you have too, and just want to make sure I don't have to do anything with my settings here for you guys to share. I don't think I do. Awesome, guys. Looks great. I'll be back here, and I'll be back for some questions in just a little bit.
All right. Well, thank you. That was a wonderful introduction. And what an aha moment indeed, us both drinking the water. I love that stuff. But what I love even more is talking about how we can implement simple systems for communication in really any dental office to help people get more comfortable with this idea of selling. One of my mentors a long time ago called dentists reluctant salespeople. And I believe that is a great way to phrase it, because even though we are in the business of helping our patients, and let's be very clear, inside of every dental practice, there is a dental business there. And the more that we can understand about communication and understand about consumer psychology and understand the why and how people buy, or how our dental consumers make their buying decisions, it really just helps us to excel more at this business of dentistry that each of us have inside of our practices. So today we're going to be sharing with you, and we're going to go real rapid fire. We were planning for an hour. Paul said, let's do it sitcom style and go for 28 minutes. So, okay, we're going to go quick. We're going to be sharing the one question. And this is a question that we've developed and refined over the years to help us categorize, or in other words, to help us understand who our patients are as part of our overall system to increase conversion. Conversion being the sum total of things that we do to help our patients make intelligent buying decisions inside the dental office, or put another way, how we sell more stuff. Okay, now there's an easy way to explain it, and then there's the more comfortable way. We're just going to stick with this because the conversion, as I said, it's a way of helping our patients make good decisions. We have not just one question that we're going to share today, but we have a whole series of questions that operate in sequence. And I want to explain, to give a bit of context about why this all exists, what it looks like, and how the conversion questions as a system can function as a guide. Because what they really do is to help the doctor, the treatment coordinator, frankly, anyone in the office who's talking to patients, to stay in control of the conversation. Now, I know that, and we see it often in some of the, the forums, is that people are wondering, what do I say? My patient asked me this question, how do I respond? Well, the first thing I want to say is this, is that he or she who is asking the questions is controlling the conversation. And so we've devised our conversion questions as a system for helping the dental team member, doctor, treatment coordinator, whoever it is, to stay in control of the conversation and to guide their patients. What we want them to first acknowledge is that they have a problem. And that really is a fact that underlies the value proposition in the transactional side of dentistry, right? The patient has a problem, we have a solution, they give us money and we provide a solution. Okay, so the patient has to first acknowledge that they have a problem. We then use the conversion questions, though, to uncover the value that our patients have for dentistry. And contrary to common belief, We don't actually believe that you can create value. We believe that patients either have it or they don't, at least at a certain point in time. That can change, but we don't really create it. We can uncover it. And so we've devised conversion questions that help us to uncover the value. And that's what we'll be focused on a lot here today. But why do we want to do that? Because we want to involve our patients in the decision-making so they can be active participants in their own healthcare. And they can do that when we help them to understand what's going on through some way of creating awareness, when we help them be able to articulate the value they have, and when we help them to discover a solution that they want, because after all, people buy what they want. What they need is a whole different question. But when it comes down to how our patients spend their discretionary finances, it might be a TV, it might be an Xbox, it might be a family vacation at Disney, and it might be dentistry. But we have to help people discover a solution they want and to put those decisions in the right bucket so that they can understand their options in the right way. And finally, we use the conversion questions to help our team to empower them so that they can make deals with patients, okay? To make sure that the treatment gets on the books in a way that the patient can afford and that fits in, as VT said, with their budget and their timeline. So that's the purpose of the conversion questions. Now, when we look at consultations, and frankly, we dedicate a lot of time to talking with patients. That would be our highest value opportunity inside of the practice, in our view. Now, there's three parts to that. I mean, one, we focus a lot on setting an agenda so that everyone knows what to expect. Two, we go through our conversion questions, which is really asking the right questions so that we can distinguish the buyers from the non-buyers. And something we won't have time to talk about today, and it's a separate presentation in itself, is really how we generate what we call a softball, which is a patient who has gone through our process, who's going to be very easy to convert when the people on our team who talk about money go to talk to the patient about money. And so we're always leading both our patients and our team to a place that is comfortable for everyone involved. So we're going to focus today, though, on asking the right questions, including this one question. So BT, take it.
So finally, the one question, guys, and please screenshot this, take your phone out and snapshot it, because the one question is this. So let's say you go into a room. So the scenario is you go into a room and your assistant has the photos, the scans, everything that you need to diagnose. But before you even, glove up, put a mask on and get your hands in there, you just sit your patient there and ask, is fixing whatever the problem is, it could be the gap tooth, it could be the broken tooth, it could be the missing tooth, is fixing blank, the problem, important to you? And you pause and you stop. Because what we see the reverse is exactly what I described beforehand is, the doctor gets busy, jumping from room to room to room, mask on, and they just want to go all in, sit the patients up, say, I recommend this, I recommend that. So we ask everybody to really slow it down, because this one question here, 1 of 7, this one question helps you identify who is really going to perk up and listen because they're a buyer, they're interested, versus who's a non-buyer and they're just there for the cleaning, right? And this is why it's so hard to try to sell dentistry in a hygiene chair, because there is no awareness. They're there just for a cleaning. So this is a very important question. When you want to see, is the patient ready? Are they aware? And do they value what it is that they think is going to be the proposed solution? Okay, so the one question, and I want you to use this, what is it, Thursday? I want you to start using it tomorrow and every working day. Is fixing this problem important to you, Mrs. Patient? And pause. And they will literally tell you yes or no. It really is that simple. When they tell you yes or no, you're not forcing them to buy into something that you know will benefit them, or you're not so busy that you're forgetting that when someone says yes, you're like, oh yeah, okay, then I'll book you back and I'll see you later. It really is helping doctors slow it down, having intentional relationships and conversations with patients, and spending it on the people who want the stuff, right? Who want the solution. So important. So the simplification here, and why is it important? We do not want to undersell buyers, right? Like I said, we have the tendency to feel like we have to be very busy running from room to room to be very productive. But if we don't listen to what they're saying, you're going to undersell the buyers, the one that were ready or wanting to start today. You just tell them to come back later. That is a no-go, right? We also don't want to oversell the non-buyers. And this is where it gets really, really sticky. And this is where dentists get really uncomfortable with selling, is because they've applied the same conversations with every patient. And they're showing photos and befores and afters, and they're educating and actually over-educating patients who are non-buyers. And this is where we will get the bad reviews of, why are you selling me something I don't want? So be very careful here. When someone says no, you let it go, okay? And we really want to help patients feel like they're heard. If someone says yes, then you go through the process. If someone says no, you also go through the process, because most importantly is that we want to make sure, okay, it allows us to understand who values our solution. It really is about value creation.
Now, in terms of patient categorization, with the right questions, we can easily guide our patients to, it sounds like a very crude analogy, I know, but to climb into the bucket of their own choosing. And the reason why this is so important is because kind of throughout society, and the way that we're raised and the way that we're trained, we're taught to believe that everybody is equal. And of course, in a human sense, of course, everybody is very much equal, but treating everyone the same is not the same as treating them fairly. And it's really important here when we can understand who our patients are and where they're at in their understanding of a problem, where they're at in their understanding or perceptions around value of the solutions that we can offer. Well, they're going to be at different places. And so we can't treat everyone the same. Like by definition, they're not the same. Some people have value for what we offer and others do not. And so what we want to share here is that we can treat people the way that they want to be treated, which doesn't mean treating them the same. It means treating them the way that meeting them where they are in their life and in their understanding at that time. And that's the real beauty in this question here, because there are three truths that we want to submit that kind of underlie everything here. And that is that patients are not all the same. They're simply not. They're not the same age. They don't have the same background. They don't have the same level of education or understanding. They don't all have the same financial capability. They don't all have the same tolerance for pain. They may not all have the same anxieties, the same history with dentists before you. There's any number of reasons why our patients are all different. They are not equal. And people will put themselves, though, into the right category or the bucket, if you will, if we just let them. And that's what the one question does. When we ask them this question, is fixing that gap in your teeth important to you? There's a binary decision to make. It's really either yes or it's no. And sometimes people get tricky and they'll say something like, well, it depends how much it costs. But that's just testing you, okay? Because the answer is really yes or no. It's either important or it's not important. And so let's go a little bit more into what this looks like, because when we know who is who, when we know for whom the solution is important and we know for whom the solution is unimportant, we can then guide our patients through the decision-making stages so that they can make the right decision for themselves. And a lot of times in dentistry, we're taught about patient autonomy and informed consent and patient education. Well, this really is, if you think about it, this is patient autonomy, live and in effect. That's exactly what this is allowing our patients in a very no pressure kind of environment to make the decision that feels right for them based on what we can show them and based on the understanding that we can create around their condition. The decision then becomes, is this something that I can live with forever or is it not? And so let's look a few minutes here at the stages that our patients go through when they're making buying decisions. And if we think of it as a bit of a ladder, right? No one just goes from the ground floor to the top floor in one single step, or at least not very often. More likely, they're going to go through some stages. And the first stage, we call it the awareness stage. And this is where we have to first get our patients to the awareness stage before we can ever get them anywhere else. So very few people, without seeing or understanding what's going on in their mouth, and physical pain could be one example, they would certainly know what's going on. But for the people not in physical pain, if they can't see it, how could they value it? Well, the simple answer is they really can't. They might just love you and say yes because they love you, but that's not a business strategy. That's working with friends, and that's cool. But to be able to grow the business in our practices, we have to be able to get people first to an awareness stage. This is prerequisite to everything that comes after. And so with the awareness stage, we're using imagery to help us sell cases. We're using imagery to contribute to our patients' understanding. We use the image to make the problem real and undeniable. When you see something on a 40-inch TV that's a cracked tooth or a big gap or crowding, you can say you don't care or not, that's totally fair, but you can't deny that it exists. Now, I think I went backward instead of forward. Oh, how did I manage that? All right, bear with me for a second. Somehow
this is live.
Yeah, really great.
Behind the scenes.
Okay, so we were talking though about the awareness stage, because we can get our patients to the awareness stage, of course, by using imagery. And what we want to get them to after that is to the value stage. And I swear the slide's coming up. I don't know how this managed to jump back 18 slides, but it did.
Oh.
All right, so we then get our patients to the value stage, and we can do that with the one question. And so this operates in sequence here. the awareness stage comes first, and we can create awareness, but we can't create value. Remember, we can uncover value, but we create awareness with imagery, and we uncover value with the one question. And that really helps us to understand, is the solution that we can offer one that is important to our patients or not? This is really important here, and it's actually very liberating to our team because it puts them in a position of only ever having to present finances to people who actually want the solution.
Okay, great. So let's review that awareness stage again. Okay, so when you ask that question and they say, yes, it's important, then that's great. They're aware. But if they're not aware, they'll be like, no, not really. But this is not where you stop, by the way. This is where you help them discover it. Sometimes patients don't realize what's going on in the back. I mean, the gap tooth in the front, it's pretty obvious. That's what they see when they look in the mirror, when they talk to their friends and family. But anything that's in the back, I believe Paul tagged Mine and I in a post with a crack and a filling that was chipped. Most people don't know what's going on back there. So when you ask that question, they have no idea what you're talking about. They're going to say, no, it's not important because I didn't even know it was there. So your job now is to help them discover that. And when we're talking about discovering awareness and helping them see what you see, what we're talking about is just showing them. It's so easy. You can use it with your mirror. You can use it with your digital scanners, photography. Everyone now should have in their operatory an intraoral camera that your hygienist, your assistants can snap a quick photo and show it. And sometimes when you do that and you blow it up in your screen, big screen TV or your computer monitor, you don't have to say a thing. Your patients will literally say, what is that? They'll point, what is that? That looks painful, even though nothing was hurting in the beginning, right? So when you show them, they are now aware that something is there. It's undeniable. It's a photo. You didn't make it there. You didn't have time to Photoshop it or put a filter on it, right? So these are all ways that we can help create that awareness that if they didn't know something was there, let's make it real, undeniable. Photos, digital scans, those things, they can't say that it's not happening because it's real. Because for them, they need to actually see it. So Nate and I, we play this game with patients. It's like, do you see what I see, right? So for us, when we even, that's another question you can use too in your exams is, do you see what I see? If they haven't seen it, you can say, do you see this crack? Do you see what I see? And you have them again acknowledge, yes, doc, I see it. And I think I want to fix that now. So they're taking ownership of their problem and they believe now that there is a problem versus you just telling them that there is a problem.
So the value stage, then, it comes after the awareness stage. Again, remember, the awareness stage is prerequisite to everything else. Someone cannot, it's very difficult for them to value a solution to a problem if they're not aware of what the problem is. So awareness first, value second. And the way that we get to this is coming up, but when someone values the solution, if they say, yes, fixing that is important to me, well then great, that's wonderful. Then let's continue on with the rest of our conversion questions. And eventually we'll talk about finances and scheduling. But if they don't value it, this is also good information to have. We say, good, then we just let it go. And this is absolutely fine because when it comes to sales, and we're presenting a very gentle approach here, but when it comes to sales, excluding the non-buyers or the people who don't want what you have to offer is just as important as including the buyers. Both of them are frankly equally important, and it simplifies things if we can exclude the non-buyers very early on. And we do that simply by obtaining their answer to our one question here. So that's the value stage. Now, when someone says not important, they don't value it, it's absolutely fine to let them go. So here it is kind of in graphic formula. Now, so is fixing this problem, this crowding, this spacing, this crack in your tooth, this missing tooth, right? We can go across all disciplines in dentistry is doing something about that bone loss to stop it getting worse. Any of these things, right? Is fixing it important to you? Patient says yes. Well, that is absolutely wonderful. And how did that go backwards again? I am just terrible at this.
Nate needs to go back to
slide making
school.
So is fixing this, I should let you do that.
Yes.
Is fixing this problem important to you? Patient says yes. That is great, because when they acknowledge it's important to them, what they are really saying is, I value a solution to this problem. This then opens the door to the rest of the conversation. Now, once we've got them there, well, the trick here is to not let them leave the office empty-handed, because as VT said at the top of the presentation here, we don't want to undersell to the buyers. And if we get that answer, yes, this is important to me, and we understand that what it means is they value it, well, then our job then is to ensure that they get that solution, again, not leaving the office empty-handed. So now we come to the situation where the patient says, no, this is not really important to me. And a lot of dentists might think, ouch, that kind of hurts. Don't you know that I have this degree and all this training and I could really help you, and you need it? Well, that's wonderful, and that's all true, except that when your patient answers no, what they're really saying is that it's not important to me. The translation is, I don't, at least presently, value that. That could change if it hurts. It could change if they, at some point develop some emotional reason why it becomes important. Maybe it's related to aesthetics or the way they look, who knows? There's any number of reasons why it could change. But when someone says, this is not important to me, they're saying that at the present day and time, I don't value that solution. And our job is to not get offended. Our job is just to understand that right now that they don't value it, it means that they're not a buyer today, or if they do, they're going to regret it. These are the people who, when we talk them into treatment anyways, that's the person who says, well, doc, that never hurt till you touched it, okay? And that's because someone tried to solve a problem that the patient was likely unaware of, or could have told you had you asked them, they just simply didn't care about accessing the solution. So we can save ourselves a whole lot of emotional headache. And frankly, we can save our team from headache as well by never having to present finances to people who would tell you it's not important if we just ask the question. Now, here's the bucket analogy. BT, can you explain what this means?
I know. I want you guys to know we just use the bucket analogy. It just makes sense for us, right? But the most important thing is to know that when you ask this question, the patient is putting them in that bucket. You never place that patient there, right? You can't judge. You know what they say, right? Don't judge the book by its cover. You never know who is really, really invested and interested and values dentistry. So you ask this one question to all your patients, and they actually put themselves into the right bucket, right? The buyers and the non-buyer. So remember, the bucket here, when someone thinks or feels and their desires is, yes, this is really important for me to fix, we know that they can be placed into the value bucket, right? Like they value dentistry. And equally important, I think even more important, especially for the team members. I don't know if we have any team members on the call, but very important for teams to also know this too, is when someone tells you it's not important, it's okay. They don't value it. So don't pursue it. And this is how you can feel liberated from always having to feel like you have to sell or close. And the one thing doctors need to also know is that, and that's again, this other topic about not handing someone that doesn't value, the solution or isn't aware and doesn't care, making sure that we don't hand this patient to the next person in line, to your treatment coordinator, to whoever that's going to talk about finances, because it does put them in such a difficult position to always sell, right? And most of the time when we're not categorizing right, you probably are handing off more no's, and your treatment coordinator will feel really defeated by always getting the no, right? So making sure that those buckets and those systems are very, very clear in the office.
Now, this is really priceless because, and I say priceless here, and there is a bit of the pun intended, because you'll note that at this point, through none of this conversation have we talked about money, and that's very deliberate. So our core belief, or one of them, is that if the discussion around finances comes up too soon, we are in effect guiding our patient to make a decision based on price. And what they will do then is they will compare the cost of our solution to their problem in context of the cost of other things that they might like. Maybe it's some consumer item, maybe it's the family trip to Disney. But when the conversation around price comes up too early, before we've created the appropriate level of awareness they need, or before we've understood anything about value or helped to uncover the value that they have, then our patients are going to make a decision based on price, which in my opinion, when it comes to dentistry, I believe in the integrity of what we do and the quality of what we do and the impact of what we do for our patients' lives. So I want those conversations around finances to come up at the right time and for the right reason. Mm-hmm. I actually don't want to work with patients who make a decision to do treatment because it was cheap. I want to work with patients who made a decision for treatment because it was the right thing for them. And so when we use this one question to better understand and to allow us to meet our patients where they are right now, and to get them to a point where they can make the right decision for themselves, it actually has a dramatic improvement on the quality of our relationships with patients, while simultaneously simplifying in-office communication and freeing up our team who might be talking about scheduling and insurance and finances with people who didn't actually even want it in the first place. So this is really, again, a simple way for doctors, for the team, for anyone who talks to patients to never feel pressured to sell again, because you're not. What we're really doing is segmenting our patient pool into two different groups, one of which is a group of people who value what you have, and another is a group of people who don't value. and it's pretty obvious what to do from there.
So if you missed this webinar and if you missed this live, there is a 1-question PDF that we have on our website there, and it dives deeper. It's a 20-pager. It's so good for not just the doctors, but the entire team to understand that we don't have to make this difficult. The conversations and communication systems in our practice don't need to be all, fancy. By going through this 1 question and understanding the science behind this, it's going to help you sell dentistry and make you feel good about presenting the options, right? So Nate said it there, which is we don't talk about fees quite yet. And if you even follow this at all, we haven't even recommended anything. We just want to know first, does the patient even care? Are they aware, right? So we want to make sure that if you want the 1-question PDF, let us know. That's our Instagram handles there, and we will send it off to you. It's on our website for $10. If you want to pay me $10, you can. But if you want for free, then just message us and we'll definitely make sure we send it off to you. And that is it, Paul. Hopefully we kept it nice and short for you. And we would love to have anybody have questions, and we're here to answer them all.
Hey guys, how's it going? I love the value bucket example there. That is like, I was just, putting on Facebook. This is the stuff that dental school should start with, not think it's not important. It is nacho nuts to me that, whether it's the great Paul Homily, nothing, isn't it wonderful when patients say yes, to all these people talking about how important it is to focus on this. There's just such little, I'll use an example here. It's like, that's the most important part of dentistry, like passing the ball, and they don't talk about it during dental school. You gave so many great actionable takeaways. People were saying, I got to get this recording. I got to send it to my boss. The person who said that, or our partner, can you say one more time how they get the PDF?
Yeah, there is, of course, you can go onto our website and it's there for $10, a nominal fee that's not going to change anybody's life. Or you can get it from us for free, and you can message us on Facebook inside the groups. You can find us on Instagram, message us there too. And we'd love to share it. We'd love to engage a dialogue. One thing I'd like to add here is that we do have courses that are much more in depth than this. We do it over a day and a half, going deep into our system for improving conversion. And so, as we said, this 1 question is really 1 of 7, and it's part of a much more comprehensive but simple to understand system for increasing our ability to convert and to improve case acceptance inside the office. So there's a number of ways to get in touch with us. The PDF, hit us up on a direct message and we'll be happy to get it to you.
Awesome. I also want to share for the recording, in case people are listening later, if they text 100K to 215-798-9897, they will get a copy of this recording and connected with you. I did see one of our resident comedians in Dental Nachos asked you, when you do that 100K day, what do you do on the rest of the days? And BT, you handled our resident comedian very, very well. He's like the Larry David of Dental Nachos. So
he's on me. Every time I talk, he's just like right there.
That means he likes you. That means he likes you. If he that's just his love language is sarcastic banter. Yes. One of the things I want to ask about, and we might see some questions. One of the things I want to ask about is, I always say to my team, and sometimes my own spouse, I don't want to repeat myself. I just want to reinforce what's important, right? Reinforce what's important. In our office, it's really important to check that everything's sterilized. And we look at the strips before they come out and we put them out because I want to see that my stuff is sterilized. And I reinforce why that's so important. Something that you shared that I hadn't really thought about myself, and I think of myself as someone who's, fairly experienced in this world too, is not handing off people to your financial coordinators that are not interested. And I just thought that that's such a great idea because I think we demoralize, it's not funny, but we demoralize our financial coordinators and say, hey, go talk to this person, and they don't come away with a win, and we don't really set them up for success. How did you develop that, and why do you do that? Because I think it's really brilliant, but I want to just hear a little more about it.
Yeah. So, it kind of stems from our view around not ever selling to people who don't want what we have. So it starts there. And then we realize, when you look at the kind of people who tend to apply for jobs in the dental industry, they're often very kind, very caring, very, very generous-hearted people. And when we put those people in the position of now having to convince someone to go invest in what they might consider to be expensive solution, it makes them very uncomfortable. And so we were thinking, how can we help our front desk team, our financial coordinators, our treatment coordinators, to be more effective in their role, understanding who they are? And so we devised a system around simplifying that for them so that they could be comfortable and helping us to achieve our practice goals. And so the only way that we thought we can do that was by taking away the conversations that were going to demoralize or to make them uncomfortable. But here's the thing, Paul, it doesn't just make our financial coordinator uncomfortable, it makes your patient uncomfortable too. If we just ask them, hey, hey, Paul, you can see what this problem is here. You can see for yourself, I can see it. Or do you see what I see? You see it, okay? And if I say, Paul, is that important to you to fix? Or is this something you can see yourself living with? You're like, no, I can live with that, no big deal. Like, okay, cool, that's okay. I'm not going to judge you based on that, but I'm also not going to put my financial coordinator in a position of now having to try to convince you to do something you just told us that you didn't even want. And so it's a very liberating thing for our people at the front. And in fact, if we approach this with the mindset of total abundance, it's actually true, and it is plausible in every single practice that you'll actually probably notice a production bump here, not the opposite. So people might think, well, if I don't present the treatment plan or the finances to these people, am I going to lose? No, it's actually the contrary. You'll actually win, and you'll simplify relationships in the process.
And your team will love you, right? We developed this, Paul, by the way, when we had 5 practices, we developed this because we wanted to do more Invisalign at that stage in our life. We really wanted to really do more Invisalign, and we were generating all these leads, and everybody was saying yes to me, but then when they got to the front, it was like a no. And so there was a disconnect, that handoff that you were saying, right? So then we took that all away, and we made sure that the patient really said yes to us following those questions. And when they were committed to us and the treatment outcome, and even we discuss fees like it's no big deal, because I'm sorry, any dentist that says, oh, I don't know what the fees are, talk to Sally at the front. Like, your patients know this, stop lying to them. Literally stop that. So once we finessed that for our own practices, then the ladies in the front just loved us, because they knew every time the patient was getting a fee presentation, it was a yes. And the most empowering thing for teams to hear is, yes, the patient also wants what you want to sell them, right? Because then they don't feel all bad about it. So I feel we built it for our own practices, seeing how uncomfortable it made the team. So we took it all away and we made it comfortable for them.
So I don't know if you caught it, but we call it a softball action. We call it generating a softball, which, to use the baseball analogy, it's a nice slow underhand pitch that's easy to hit. Well, the softball inside the dental practice is someone who's gone through the conversion questions, someone who's acknowledged that it's of value to them to resolve a problem that they have, concrete awareness of. Well, that person is really easy to close for our financial coordinators, because we've already gone through the exercise in the back. And so that's what we call a softball.
And everybody likes when the ball goes in the basket, right? I'm teaching my daughters how to play basketball, and if I say, hey, let's just shoot some 3-point shots, and they airball them, they're just going to get like, I don't want to play this game anymore. So, I just think it's awesome. I also think, the buying experience, while I tend to think positively of selling, because I think of the things that I purchase as making me happy, right? And I love the book To Sell Is Human by Daniel Pink. He talks about not upselling, upserving. And that's what you said in the beginning, BT. But we've all had that experience at a clothing store where the person's just so enthusiastic about you buying all these clothes. And then you say you're going to buy them, and you wait till they walk away, and you like throw the sweater on the side and leave. And I think that's like, why probably, BT, your point of saying these people were telling you yes, but the front desk no. It's just because they knew there was a chance to get out of it later in doing that. And, I just, someone said this is so amazing. And really, I just am so appreciative of you guys coming on and giving a voice to this besides me here on Dental Nachos, because this is what unlocks more fun. This is what unlocks more happiness in your practice. This is what unlocks more high fives. I also think in general, I know while your system fits with all different size cases, people are not making giant emotional decisions about 1 filling or 2 fillings. But they are about replacing all their teeth. That's a massive decision. They are about committing to clear aligners, for a while. And I just think getting more people to realize that value than your team, there's a whole different energy in your office when you have bigger case acceptance. So I'm just so thankful for you guys. Before we wrap up, would you guys just remind everyone watching now, in the future, listening, watching, if they love this and they say, I want to find out more about our amazing friends and sponsors, Dr. BT and Nate, how can they do that?
Well, go to our website, first and foremost, thefastclosepractice.com. It's on the screen there, bottom right corner. And under the Learning tab, you can find out where our upcoming workshops are. And so we have a number coming up early in the first quarter. first in South Florida. And I think there must be a significant contingent of the Nacho crowd who is in South Florida. We'd love to see some of you there. We're really going deep on this system here. It's really an end-to-end communication system. Beyond that, we have one in our hometown where we live in Vancouver, and then we'll be in California and in Texas to kind of round out the first part of the year. But under the learning tab on our website is the way where you can learn more about that and sign up. Beyond that, I mean, we're on Facebook. You can find us, and our Instagram handles are right there on the screen.
I was there are plenty of dentists in South Florida and people from Nachos there. They're also like those very annoying people from San Diego that just remind you how good the weather there is all the time. They really enjoy that. And I just remember them about the traffic out there, but we have plenty of warm weather Nacho people that would love to do that. I'm going to stop the live stream. Don't leave yet, guys. Dental Nachos audience, see you guys later. Thanks so much for being here. And now, guys, you could unshare. We still have some people hanging here who loved your webinar. So if you guys wanted to ask any specific questions, Nacho team, you can leave this in. It could just be the after show. But I just, someone here in the chat, I won't violate Zoom HIPAA. I'm afraid of HIPAA and HIPPOs, guys. So I don't violate privacy in any way. But someone in the chat said they want to show their partner this, and that's just really why we do that. I guess for my Nacho team, and just to kind of bring to light for a minute, the impact of people coming to these courses in person, what does that do to them, either as practitioners, as teams? I know you guys probably have a lot of great before and afters. Tell us a little more about that.
I think once they realize how easy this is, it changes the way that they want to approach dentistry on Monday morning, let's say.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we're teaching, they think it's only relevant to practice owners, but it's not. It's teams and even associate doctors. We have tons of associates over the last 11 years of owning dental practices. Well, when we teach them this convergent system, now they start talking like us, and now they start categorizing their own patients and having that conversation. But the worst thing is teaching this, and then they don't apply it because they get too busy. And this happens too, right? Because we always get feedback from people who attend our seminars. I always do a call. How's it going? Did you implement anything at the course? And one doctor very recently said, you know what, I'd love to, but I got too busy doing hygiene exams that I couldn't ask any questions. Right. And that is the killer of production. That is the killer of anything, of happiness. And I didn't say it on the live, but when you ask this question, you're just generating happy patients, because happy patients can still decline treatment, right? It has nothing to do with like if they're going to spend money, they're happy. No, but if you just treat them like they want to be treated, they will leave happy, not feeling oversold.
Yeah, I mean, no just means sometimes not right now. I mean, I'm so much like love what you guys talking about. One of my most watched YouTube videos, this amazing patient, it took me 3 years to kind of remind her, like, you're kind of worth getting implants, but like, I didn't give her financial every time, like you guys. I just said, hey, you really just like this upper partial. I'm like, you're worth it, and then you get to know people. She mentioned she goes and visits her son in Hawaii, which is awesome. But that means I kind of just filed away, hey, she values, taking a trip there. And then she did it. And, most people, just like in everything in life, whether it's personal coaching for us, whether it's financial planning, they say, I wish I did it sooner. But I think if you keep them in that friendly happiness stage you talk about, they just become fans of what you're doing. And I think, that they become the most raving, the people who say not yet for a while and then do it and their lives are transformed, they almost can't stop talking about it for people.
Yeah.
Well, we really believe that there's three answers to this question. Is fixing this important to you? You have your yeses, and so those are your buyers. You have your no's, those are your non-buyers, and you have your maybes. But no means no. But everything that is not no actually means maybe if it's not yes. Right. So not today. I got to talk to my spouse. I got to check my bank, check my calendar, sell my Harley, sell my boat, renovate the house after I put the new roof. All of that stuff. It's not no. It's just not today. There is a difference. And I mean, so many practices have a pool of value there that's just kind of sitting there waiting. And if we were to engage and activate those people and ask them the right questions, a lot of them will come in and invest in our solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I love this. Someone put in the chat, we have a policy not to close doors on any sales. The fact we have them in our world most likely lead to an opportunity in the future. That really is awesome. Well, I really appreciate what you guys have done. While this was happening, I saw someone and Dental Nachos said, I need the weekend because I just had a patient say they can't afford $450 of treatment after saying they spent $10,000 on their dog. And I get why that's demoralizing. I mean, think about it. We learn this craft to help people chew and smile with confidence. Mm-hmm. And we go out in the real world and be like, hey, would you like it? They're like, no, I don't want it. Dental school creates a whole artificial world with dental school patients. I have such respect for my dental school patients. They sat there for a 3-hour crown with me. They were so patient. but the business world of dental school is just can't be applied to the outside world. And I totally get why that's demoralizing. So you guys got to go out there and help them, and we'll do some more fun stuff together. Really appreciate it. And I got many aha moments out of it. We got a good picture. Maybe I tagged aha. So maybe this is the moment that aha will sponsor the both of us.
Yes,
Yeah, no, that would be
brand
awesome. Let's do
ambassadors.
it. Aha.
Well, cheers, guys. Have a great rest of the day. We'll get this recorded, and so appreciate you guys sharing with us today.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thanks a lot,
Paul.
Paul.
Talk to you
Thank you,
later.
everyone.
Thanks. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye-bye.